Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Howdy, y'all. This week, we're still doing Andy Get Your Nun, but boy howdy, did we pick I'm just going to go ahead and say 90s plus Fulci equals not his best work.
No.
I enjoyed it.
Did you?
Yes, I actually did. And it wasn't, I acknowledge that its weaknesses, but we'll get into it. You want to put the cart before the horse.
We shall.
Now the reason I bring that up is it was because we had a listener who is a mailing list subscriber who didn't respond in time because we also, well, to be fair, we didn't give them a lot of lead time to pick our final main attraction. So we landed on Demonia out of convenience and happenstance.
Well, and it's a Fulci movie I'd never seen, never even heard of.
He didn't want you to hear of it.
I know it means demonic in Italian, but we'll get there.
He tried to have his name removed from this movie.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, the Rotten Tomatoes score was 16% when I looked it up, so
that's
this
Andy.
doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
So I'm part of the 84% that liked it.
Andy is part of the 84%. So at least
I'm
you're
part of the 16%.
You're part of the
That
You're
you guys are the 84.
We're in the majority.
You're
here.
in the 16th percentile. I don't know how that all works. That's math, and I don't.
Well, it's fun.
Careful, all right. But that's Andy over there doing that math.
I'm not at math, which is goes against the grain.
Right.
It's hot as balls.
Freddy's balls are very hot right now.
So hot out.
It's better today than it has been, but honestly, this part of the country's been cooked.
It's very pleasant out, actually. Again, I'm going against the grain.
Right
you guys.
now it is. Now it is. But man, today when I had to be out there working in the yard, it was awful.
Well, there's your problem.
There's your problem.
Sucked.
And I'm Amy, and I live with a man that loves to talk about the weather.
Yeah,
Mr. Freddy.
Don't we all though?
We do, especially when it's this fucking hot. But things are calming, maybe, for a little while, and we'll all be able to stop talking about it for like 10 minutes. But we'll keep talking about the guy who got hit by the roller coaster at Kings Island and died.
I was wondering what the banter was gonna be, and I was like, that's gonna be it.
It's gonna be the dude who went looking for his keys, and the banshee brained him, and that man is no longer alive, which is extremely sad over something so silly. But I'll tell you, this city can't get enough of the story.
Do you think, is it common enough that people are injured or killed trying to retrieve? Yeah, trying to retrieve.
Didn't that happen recently? Like in the last 5 years, somebody did that at Kings Island?
It's not. I don't think it's common that it happens. What do you guys define as common?
Once every 5 years.
Common enough that it's a scenario we're already familiar with as people. Where we're like, didn't this happen? Like, did I hear about this?
I'm telling you, I think it happened at Kings Island not that long ago.
Right.
No.
And a dude died or was hurt or was something.
Well, that's terrible.
It is awful, but I hope somebody got a really nice heart that they're going to enjoy for many years to come.
What's the ratio to people at roller coasters in this country? And we need to figure out the math on that.
Excellent question.
Of how often
Get to the bottom
that
of this.
happens.
You know,
But yes, it happened at Kings Island, which has a history of deaths occurring at that place.
that's true. I mean, when you're
a long-running amusement park is going to have some stories.
But especially Kings Island, I feel like more than other parks, it has a lot of fraught history.
If I may be ghoulish for 5 seconds, but do you feel like the Banshee's back up and running? Is that weird to be on it right now? You're like, some guy we murdered somebody on this.
They know what happened. It's not like there used to be an investigation.
Right,
and I don't know.
He's looking for his keys.
Yeah.
Don't
Well, the worst
worry
part
about
was
your
that
keys.
his kids were there. And so I wonder how they got home.
Andy, that's great. We're going to move along if we could. And we're going to talk about other much better things. Like, I did a little. So Tubi is where I'm obsessed with Tubi. If you've been following the show, know that the streaming platform Tubi is my favorite thing in the world. I am not being paid by them at all. I sent them an email and I said, I love you guys. And they sent me an email back. And they said, thanks. So we're not even that close. Right?
Well, you all looked up job opportunities at Tubi.
I did, but I'm not a software engineer, so it's gonna be a little difficult.
But you love it enough that you were contemplating. I wonder what's open there.
I could work there. I would work for somebody I respected. But so the algorithm, you just let it play. After we watched Demonia, are we even pronouncing it right?
It doesn't matter.
Demonia.
It's Demonia. I'm pretty sure.
All right. I let it play, and it played another Fulci movie that we turned off.
Enigma.
To
be fair, this movie has two of the issues, the editing and the cinematography, that were problems with this week's main attraction.
Yeah.
Same folks, same editor, same
boring.
It's like the team under Fulci. Fulci had to have his old team. Like it goes to show you that a movie director needs, sometimes they have a team of people that really are
make them great.
They're part of their look and sound and everything else. Yeah. And those people just weren't here in the 90s. Those people weren't part of Fulci's team anymore. So I think it says a lot. Enigma was could have been great.
We gave
it was an Enigma. Was it better or worse than Demonia?
Better.
Really?
It was better because we were watching it voluntarily.
Oh.
But it's a girl is pranked, and then she ends up in a coma because she's fleeing the prank and gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
And then she possesses one of the new girl who comes to the college she was bullied at.
Boarding school, honey.
Or boarding school.
Your favorite.
And it's like from there, she's using a blend of telekinesis and nonsense to kill her. I don't know what. We quit, though.
Nonsense.
If it caught me in a different mood, I might have liked it. You might like
that.
It, Andy.
It's good for doing
I like that
stuff.
setup. It's very prescient now with all these pranksters going around.
These motherfucking TikTokers.
It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
Out here touching.
I like to see some of these TikTokers get their comeuppance.
I do too. It's a lot of fun when it does happen.
Yeah.
When they get swung on. Is that bad? Yeah. So Enigma wasn't great, and
it has a great poster though. So do yourself a favor.
Both of them have wonderful.
Google the poster, and it's Enigma spelled A-E. Enigma, as in like
Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux. That's a good example.
Anyway, so I don't recommend that at all. But look at the poster, I think is what we're trying to say here.
So, like, normally when you tube with Tubi, how many movies do you go through at a time?
I mean, usually it's 2. 2 is the most. I fall asleep during the second one. I probably already fell asleep a little bit during the first one. But then I wake up and I'm like, yeah, let's keep it going. That looks fun. And then the next movie is a blur because I fell asleep. Because I'm old and tired all the time.
But I will say the ads are kind of ridiculous.
Oh,
the ad breaks like it was like
Febreze.
It's like 1 of 6. I'm like 6,
and it's 6 Febreze ads interspersed with political ads telling us that Sherrod Brown is spending all of our tax dollars on illegal immigrants. And Freddy said, "Well, how many did he buy?"
Sherrod Brown,
because that's what it sounded like.
He was buying illegal immigrants.
Spending your tax dollars on illegal immigrants and flashy cars.
Have we talked about them?
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show, but
I couldn't
still,
remember. We got one episode left.
Friendly reminder, we got one left, and it's fantastic, and I highly recommend it. But I did try to recommend it to somebody I forgot was horror movie averse, and I don't think it would do well. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I was like, never mind.
I was like, she would never be able to handle that.
You can't handle this level.
It's too intense. It's intense for hardcore horror fans even in some moments.
I found it very, very spooky.
I'd say big recommend for anybody who's like a True Detective fan too.
Yes.
This season in particular. It's got that vibe.
So spooky.
Very.
Some supernatural.
Oh, it's super spooky, girl.
It's got Candyman overtones a little bit in
Which
there.
I think we've already said on here.
We probably have.
We don't
I think we talked about it at the meetup.
Say a lot.
Discord. Our Discord meetups every Thursday night. We have a great time with everybody.
Patreon.com/NOTLP if you're interested in said things.
I think that's where this conversation took place.
It could have been.
But anyways, them.
A+. Are you watching anything fun, Andy?
No, you know me. I don't watch stuff.
Mama's Family.
Oh. Okay, since you're not, I'm going to take your turn. Because my eyeballs have peeped uponst I decided to start watching the new Criminal Minds seasons that were streaming only.
Where they're allowed to swear.
Where they're allowed to swear.
So you're easing into old age very nicely.
But I'm easing into old age with the characters that used to be on CBS and never said anything worse than damn. And now they're like, this fuckhead. And I'm like, what?
Is this
What is this?
Does this air on like actual?
No.
Like, okay, it's like subscription TV.
It's Paramount Plus, but I mean they might cut them up and air them, but it's pretty gnarly. Like the serial killer subplot that's spreading out through the whole season. Some people call that serialized, not spreading out.
So weird. I caught a little bit of this, and it caught my attention because it's one
fuckface.
It's very much like Saw, right? Where it's one killer who's masterminding drops of murder kits for killers. He's franchising.
Yeah,
it's a serial killer franchising out, right? Is that the concept?
Basically.
Okay.
I think that's a nice concept.
It's interesting.
It's very entrepreneurial and like. Is this late stage capitalism?
This is null stage. It's funny because they really lean hard into because this season I think aired probably early 2022. So they're leaning in hard to the pandemic. They keep mentioning the pandemic. They're like, oh, when we all got locked down, which means serial killers got locked down. So they keep bringing up the pandemic, and I'm like, ooh, do I want this in my media? And it still is a debate I have.
But just hearing it over and over again?
Yeah, having it brought back.
Really?
I think I need a minute.
I feel like we're still in it.
I
don't feel like we ever came out the other end of that thing.
Now we're at the point where you can go to the store with COVID and nobody cares.
I mean, I'm talking about the bigger picture effects of it, not just the virus, but just all the
psychological,
the collateral damage, the aura.
We're still in that
shit around
the collective brain rot.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think I need a break from it in my media because I'm still soaking in it, Madge.
Well, let's take that break then.
But I'm really enjoying it. Otherwise, just. Again, to see the glee in Joe Mantegna's eyes when he gets to say fuck. He likes it. Grandpa likes it a lot.
Does he look around and then all of a sudden like burst out of fuck?
Well, no, honestly.
With the little sly smile on his face.
It was like a half an hour into the first episode and all of a sudden he's like, what's with this fucking guy? And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I don't know why that shocked me so much, but it did because it's Criminal Minds. And for being horribly violent and awful has always been very clean cut.
I wish they would do this with like sitcoms that were squeaky clean and then let just do their season when they move them to the streaming service, just pepper some profanity in.
Like Family Ties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or Full House or something.
Full fucking house.
Yeah.
That would be so
fuck
fun.
Dudes.
Fuck dudes. That's funny, Andy. You're a funny little man.
Gonna cut it the fuck out.
You know who would have loved that was Bob Saget.
He was a filthy little boy too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Man, can you believe that? Can you believe we live in a world without Bob Saget?
Yeah.
That bums me out
it's the
sometimes.
Worst place for it.
Because I know we saw him that one time in person, and it connected me to him more.
Because you're like, he's a real person.
I shared air with Bob Saget that one time.
You did.
Anyway, I don't know. Had to say it, so I said it. And I'd do it again.
So brave, Amy.
I know. You guys can't stand it. Anything else going on?
Nothing.
No, and speaking of dead people, rest in peace, Donald Sutherland.
Donnie Suthers.
Yeah, we were talking about that at the meetup too, and I think we all agreed that Invasion of the Body Snatchers was like the most popular among our cohort.
Yeah, it was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you didn't stand there with your mouth open,
very long and lovely life. So rest in peace.
And he's survived by a talented kid, at least one that I know of.
Kiefer.
Are there more Sutherlands acting
I'm
than
sure
Kiefer
of
Sutherland
it.
that are related? But anyways,
sure of it.
You know.
Oh, speaking of Kiefer Sutherland, tell us about that. I want to watch it, but that Andrew McCarthy documentary.
Oh, Brats.
Is Kiefer Sutherland a Brat Pack? Or the adjacent?
Kiefer Sutherland is kind of a Brat Pack.
Okay.
They get into that. They get into specifically him. Actually, his name comes up.
Was Julia Roberts a Brat Pack?
What about Jason Patrick? Like, how do we define a Brat Packer?
No.
Well, you watch Brats, and they'll break it out for you because they do a better job than I ever could. But it's on Hulu.
Like Bratz dolls?
No. Except without the Z, it's an S.
Oh, okay.
Or do Brats spelled with an S? I don't know.
No.
I want to see the documentary about brats with 2 T's.
So apparently there's a book. Andrew McCarthy wrote a book as well.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
Good for him.
I'll tell you, I came out of this really liking Andrew McCarthy a lot.
I've always thought he was a nice enough fella.
He seems like a just decent dude, and I would say the same for Demi Moore.
How about the rest of them?
Really decent.
Who's the shit?
Does anybody come off worse?
Yeah.
No. They all seem really nice, but
Okay.
some
It's not an expose.
Some come off with a lust for life and a wonder in their eyes, and this kind of they marvel at the careers they had. And then some of them are just tired. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting to
Who's
watch.
tired?
Emilio
Understandable.
I'm kind of tired.
Emilio just wants to retire to Ohio,
I
Cincinnati.
think he really does. And
Let him.
And
I think about it. Like, he's been in the limelight for almost 40 years. So give him everybody needs a break from something.
He's the origin of the whole Brat Pack thing. It came from the New York, I think it was the New Yorker article about him. It was a profile of him. And then the kind of a clever wordplay thing came into it, and then it kind of changed the angle and the way people kind of took the article. And the documentary is really about what it's like to be like in your 20s and then having everybody in the world think you're a brat and like have this shitty connotation about you because of like clever wordplay in an article.
Kind of sucks.
And but there's also it became larger than life and became like the Rat Pack before it, like where the name comes from, like this thing where everybody had this perception of these really young, talented actors being together all the time and being some sort of group. Like a super group, but it's not the truth.
Well, I wasn't really aware of tabloid culture back then, but were they brats?
No, I wouldn't say so.
It looked like it.
They were all like
ponytails and their earrings.
Super
boys.
Career motivated people who were about the art of whatever craft they were into.
They were young and beautiful.
Yeah, but they weren't the kind. It's not what you think. It's not that party. Like it's
no, I never really thought that.
Well, what I mean is when you watch the documentary, you see the reality of what their lives were, and it's not at all what I thought they were growing up. Before watching that,
have retail jobs.
You think of the Poison Room and partying and drugs and all
River
this.
Phoenix and Johnny Depp,
right? But it's not true.
In 10 years, are we gonna get a documentary about the Pussy Posse?
Maybe.
Let's hope so.
But I hope it's. I doubt it'll be as positive as Bratz. Bratz makes you feel good.
All right,
watch it. I highly recommend.
I want to watch it.
If you grew up in the '80s, it's. I think it's a definite.
I was born in the '80s. I feel like I grew up in the '90s.
Yeah. Well, close enough.
All right. I don't know.
Culturally, like you were still.
Don't you feel like you have to be born in the decade prior to say you grew up in the?
We straddle the line.
That's a real stupid rule.
I still consider myself an 80s kid.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's it's so much of it has to do with
I was born in 1980.
identity.
I mean, obviously I'm an 80s kid, but I just don't know that I identify so much.
I'll tell you, if you're from a broke family, like we didn't have any money, like we were living on culture from the previous generation, a lot of us too, because that's what we had. Those are the albums we had and the, like the references we had and the reruns our parents would watch on TV.
I know, right?
Like it's not really that you were part of an era, but depending on who you are and how you were raised, you could have been, a child of the '80s who was born in 1990.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Ain't worth shit to know.
I'm not gonna get upset if somebody calls
furious.
Miserrors me.
Yeah, I really hate like
I'm in my
hair splitting.
2020s era right now. I'm just trying to get along. I have lived more of my life in the 21st century than I have in the 20th century. I don't know what something I realized recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So anyway, it's not that interesting, but I do smoke a lot of weed, and sometimes I think things are interesting that aren't.
Like it means a lot to you, the difference between the 21st and the 20th century?
I don't think I think I'm just now kind of recognizing that the 2000s were distinct from the 2010s, which are now distinct from the 2020s. The same way the 80s, 90s, and today are distinct decades when you look back on them. To me, it's all just been the 2000s.
It's all smearing for me, and it's getting worse because of all these shows that are being produced currently set in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, they love it.
That the smear of culture across this timeline of the last 50 years.
Oh, like the nostalgia, like it keeps churning out. Because you're watching Fresh Off the Boat right now, and that's very
oh my god
90s.
Obsessed.
Because the Goldbergs wrapped up, and that was 80s, and the Wonder Years wrapped up.
I really liked the first few seasons of the Goldbergs. I thought it was a fun show, but Fresh Off the Boat is way better. And also, I didn't realize like how much nostalgia I had for the 90s. I always, if you'd asked me,
you were the 80s.
I was like, the 80s were way better. I don't give a shit about the 90s because I had to grow up in the 90s, and I didn't like that. So like. Now I'm like, no, you didn't. You had fun in the 90s. I remember some of this shit. Like, I just watched the episode where they watched Bring the Pain on their HBO free preview weekend.
Nobody left their house that weekend.
Free preview weekends were great. You ever just randomly turn it on and it's on? And you're like, oh my God, it must be a free.
Anymore, does it?
Sometimes I feel that way about Sirius XM in the car.
Oh,
on a holiday weekend, I'll just turn it on to see if they're doing a free.
And you won't leave your car, will you?
Nope. Just stay and sleep and live and piss and shit.
Free
like, bring me some food, Freddy.
Oh yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah.
So when's the first show about growing up in the 2000s going to happen?
Oh my God.
Are we on the verge of that yet?
It's happened because they pulled the trigger on that with Twisted Metal. Because it is set in a world that ended in 2000, but the main character has that. Remember the whole Blank Man episode? Where
not really.
Well, anyways, there's a whole thing.
But it's not like
about
the coming of age, though. I'm talking about coming of age in the 2000s.
Oh yeah,
that,
okay, I gotcha.
The moment that happens, I'm getting my fucking Medicare card in the mail.
Yeah,
they're like, time. Better get your Part B.
So hasn't everybody been getting AARP mailers for years now? I have.
20s.
They've blurred the line as well.
Yeah.
AARP just wants your money. They don't really care. I mean, they care about old people, but they don't care who they're sending shit to. If it makes you buy something from them, or they don't give a shit.
I mean, I remember I was in my 30s and I got my Golden Buckeye card for some reason.
Hell yeah, bro! Golden Buckeye.
Wait, you have a Golden Buckeye card?
They sent me one in my 30s for some reason.
Hell yeah.
For some reason, somebody had to apply for that.
Yeah.
You have to apply for a Golden Buckeye card?
Yeah.
If you're not from Ohio, it's a card for old people to get discounts.
Yeah.
It's called a Golden Buckeye.
Do you still have it, Andy?
No, because I was like, what am I going to do with this?
It had some good discounts.
But you can't.
I mean,
be out here 30 years old.
Yeah. Right, they wouldn't. People would give
rude.
they'd just give you side eye for sure.
We have to do the right thing as society. It's good for you, Andy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Plus, it was mostly places I don't really frequent
Andy didn't
often.
Want to use it anyway.
Yeah.
So isn't that selfless of him?
It's like, how often do I go to Bob Evans? I don't know.
Bob Evans's?
Yeah.
I don't know. They got that pot roast sandwich. Shit, it's so good.
Yeah. You get like buy one, get one stuff on those.
Listen to us.
Yeah. Just saying.
All right.
Yeah, that's we're going to make our money back when we get our Golden Buckeyes for real.
You guys make me sad. Are you ready to move on yet?
Well, ready. I'm also thinking about dinner. You know how I do.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Turn out lights, it's the main attraction.
I feel like the volume was a little low on that.
Did seem a little low. Demonia.
Sorry.
Demonic in Italian.
90 minutes of a mixture of what looks like home videos plus some PBS documentary plus some
lady staring.
Yeah.
And then a lady, like the camera on her staring.
It's a bunch of
a lot of zooms. Yeah. I like this movie. I acknowledge that it's an uneven movie, but I still enjoyed it. I feel for me, the positives outweigh the negatives. I can understand why people, you and Amy don't like it, but
frankly, I thought it was
I just thought it was boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, that's
and bloody.
I don't know if it was boring. I would describe it as languid. And
yes, like it was too hot for this movie to be good.
And it was there was no urgency. That was another problem.
Yeah. It had great
the pacing.
It had great moments, not scenes. Great moments within scenes.
And I like the kind of like how it's not what you expect from a nun movie. A lot of these nun movies are how the women have been mistreated by the church and stuff.
But this is as witches or something.
Yeah, and this was straight up evil nuns. They
were just bad.
Yeah, they had agency and their evilness and their revenge.
They had question marks on their heads because they're like, I'm questioning everything, even the Lord Jesus Christ.
Andy's talking about, in case you didn't bother watching the movie,
you didn't bother.
That's that's like the flashback part of the movie in the beginning, right?
The nuns are being crucified by the townspeople because they are bad.
So this is like supposed to be like maybe 16th century or something, right?
1400. So it's 1480 something.
Okay, so it's the 15th century. And it's this area is Sicily, like the east coast of Sicily, and they have Greek ruins all throughout there. I learned a lot watching this. At least there's that.
At least there's that.
All those Greek ruins. It was so strange to me that these Catholic-looking nuns were like crucified down in this Greek. It felt like so many different times. The timelines all felt mushed together.
Well, it could have been a Greek Orthodox church.
But I mean, this was ancient Greek ruins.
But you're right.
These were pre-Christian.
I don't know when.
And like, which makes, I mean, obviously, it's just being an American and not being used to the fact that history takes place where other history took place once you go over to Europe. But this is a really great example of, like you said, Andy, it's not at all what you expect. The setup and the setting.
And I feel like they took great advantage of their location with the coastal city and the ruins. It was beautiful to look at.
Oh, it was gorgeous. The setting was fucking awesome.
The setting was, but here's the problem.
You get a lot of wanderlust walking this.
Yeah.
You get a beautiful setting, but somehow the cinematographer makes it look washed out and dull. I mean, half of the movie looks like garbage.
I couldn't tell at one point if I was looking at a coastline or mountain range.
Right. There was a lot of moments of
like, is that water
shots and foggy out of focus.
Well, maybe like their filming period was overcast the whole time. I
don't know. I think I think what happened was Fulci got a team under him who didn't know what they were doing.
No, but the shots at night were really cool. So the daytime shots were kind of like washed out and muddy. Yeah. But I really liked the cinematography during the night shots.
When they could control the lighting.
When they're in like the tombs and stuff in the ruins. I thought that was really well done. I love that like blue and green lighting that they have. I like that when horror movies when it doesn't
too.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Goes like neon.
All good stuff. All good, but it just didn't. And then our main character's an archaeologist. That's one profession a woman can have in movies. Journalist, archaeologists.
Yeah.
They're always one of those things. What was her name again? Liza?
Liz. Was it Liz or Liza?
Liza. And she's there with a bunch of other students and then other people and a professor and another guy.
I hated her professor. He was a little...
Paul?
Yeah.
He was smart.
He was very dismissive and just, like you said, smarmy. And I hated his opening, that toxic positivity he had. Like, stop thinking about the bad things. Think about the beauty and stuff like that. Ugh.
He even went so far as the gaslighter later on, too.
Yeah.
He took the town.
It's funny to think that he's our hero, I guess.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is he?
Well,
he's nothing really. There's no hero.
He's the one that survived. So
he's just the final girl. But he's not. I don't know.
But that's nobody. I didn't know who we were supposed to follow in this movie.
Liza.
Yeah, I think
there was no really. but there's no like real main character. Like even her, like she was.
My main character was Senor.
Didn't really focus on her. Like she didn't have any agency either. I think she just kind of fell into a situation.
Everybody was a backdrop for this hodgepodge of clips.
My main character was Senor Buscemi, the mayor. Now, did you notice him sneezing and coughing and talking about being sick in his scene? Now, Freddy is sneezing and coughing and acting like he's sick. No, he was just blowing his nose. No, then later there's another local from the town that's like sneezing and coughing all over the place. And then there's another one. And I was like, are they doing something with sick locals? But I just think these people were truly sick in the actual movie when they were filming it.
Yeah.
Because it never goes anywhere.
Could be that. It could be a weird choice. Do you remember we watched recently 976 Evil?
Yes.
And there's the moment where Robert Picardo's character is just sick for no reason.
That's true.
He's like sniffling. It's disgusting. It's like a choice that he didn't have to make unless he was really sick. I don't think he was, but it was gross.
I guess.
So dribbling down and everything else.
Liz has she's having visions, right, of the nuns that were murdered.
She starts doing like seances, and she kind of breaks the breaks the veil between worlds, and I guess she is open to things happening to her.
And the nuns, they're evil. They're gonna look for any way out.
Was the seance?
So
I gotta ask real quick. I'm sorry, Amy, but was the seance the same? That wasn't the same place the cat lady was.
No,
right. That was two.
No,
different places.
It took place in Toronto.
Yeah, the seance.
Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah, so it didn't even happen in Italy.
The cat lady was in Italy.
The lady that murdered by her cats. Can we talk about that real quick? That was a great scene. This is what I'm talking about. But it looked like shit. It was too well lit.
And also
to turn that down a little.
She just, again, everybody in this movie lets things happen to them. She didn't just fight back or anything like that.
She let it happen.
She just stood there and didn't even like thrash around or
she
like
pull
fight
her
back.
Eyeball out.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. Well, she had to assist the cats. You know what I mean? That's why, because they were stuffed cats. So she was so tired from having to work these stuffed cats over her eyes.
But I think part of the charm for me for this movie was the crunchiness of it.
Yeah,
especially for the gore effects. Like literally, like there were stuffed cats and they were like throwing them at this lady.
They were hilarious. Like those moments. If you cut it a super cut. Just look at if you go to IMDb and just go through the pictures from this movie, the stills that are in there, you can kind of see some of the unevenness of what it is. Actually, the stills look better than the movie itself, but that's the thing with the effect sequences in this. They still look fun. Like it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter to me, like when the dude got pulled apart, how so very clearly they didn't even try to blend.
And it was clearly a dummy. I mean, like
it was so clearly where the makeup was. They didn't even try.
He was drawn and halved,
and they never blended it.
They did the same thing in that other movie we talked about.
And it was well lit.
Enigma, the same team. Remember, they did the same shit. The scar on the woman's face after she's in the coma.
You can see it.
It's like when you do cheap like Halloween makeup.
Yeah.
And they're like, Italian horror is not really well known for great effects. You know what I mean?
Well, it's known for not looking this bad. Because this looked bad, but like whatever, I can get over that because that's fun to me. That's the stuff I like in my trashy movies is like they tried and they did something cool. It just didn't look cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, that's part of the charm for me. That's why it's very memorable for me.
It's like I'm going to keep saying things that I loved about it, but I promise you I thought it was boring. When she finds the dead nuns, the crucified nuns in the basement area of the ruins, it feels like a Skyrim dungeon. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Because it really did.
Yeah. I love the look of it. Just the discovery of it and just all the nuns crucified in a like a semicircle.
Man,
and
that was a cool scene when they were crucified.
Yeah, there's
5 of them. Right?
Yeah.
5 nuns.
Yeah. 5 little nuns sitting on a branch. One falls down. The other 4 pray. As nuns are wont to do.
I don't know what he's doing, guys.
It's that old sea shanty.
So this one dude, He's like a British guy that's there also doing research or something. And he says to Paul, the professor, and Liza, around here, human life has less value than a feeling. So I guess he's saying the locals have feelings about what they're doing, bad feelings. They don't want them to be there, disturbing these ruins because they're idiots.
And they were right. Like I feel like all these villagers were seen as like idiots and like superstitious, but turns out they were right.
Can we talk about the butcher for a minute?
The butcher, the Macelleria.
No, that actor, that guy's a Fulci and Friends regular, Lino Salem.
Fulci and Friends.
So he's total red herring, right? Like, but also,
but on purpose. They keep kind of putting Butcher into things.
Yeah, they're always coming to him, and he's always like, "Oh, I'm warning you, you guys have better stop fucking around. Here's your steak. Here's that ground beef."
Yeah. I love how angry he's always. So when everybody's like shopping at his butcher shop and he hands the meat to them so angry, like, here.
He's pissed off at everybody. And like you're like, okay, why is he even in this? At first, it's not even clear that he's the red herring, and like they're doing the whole, this is the false lead that the guys are going to have as to what's going on. But they don't feed it enough data and scenes to support it.
He wasn't the only angry villager. Everybody was angry.
Outside
because they were all digging up the stuff that they knew they shouldn't be digging up.
Yeah, they didn't want these foreigners there doing it.
They were all angry. I'm just talking about that particular character. They were building him up in a way that they didn't pay off.
No, I didn't see that way. I never like saw him as a suspect.
The movie doesn't,
or even like they were going in that direction.
It doesn't really tell much.
To be there to misdirect.
Yeah. The movie tells very rarely, and it shows very rarely outside of the deaths. It's not really there to tell you anything. It's just there to show you some stuff,
very poorly made.
And it's not good stuff, and not enough of it.
Yeah.
Like I wrote here, everyone talks slow, or I'm bored.
Two things can be
but
true.
Andy, you were in the movie. Andy the detective.
Yeah, I was.
You were.
And did I have some weird dubbing too?
You did.
I found that odd because
he's clearly speaking English.
Yeah, but like the over like, did they not record them speaking and had to go to the studio and record it again?
Must have
because like the mouths match up with all the words, but it was clearly dubbed.
Yeah, that's common with the Italian horror movies. Like are riddled with dubbing misalignments and recasting at the last minute of
it was just interesting because like I understand it was like filmed in Italian but put English dubbing over it, but to put like English dubbing over English speakers, it was unusual to me.
Right, yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like
a couple more interesting deaths. They put a baby on a barbecue.
Yeah. And we saw a little baby hand burn up. It was pretty intense. It was pretty intense.
They kind of imply that this happens whenever one of the nuns gets pregnant, that they don't do anything but carry the child to term.
Another
and then
baby on the barbecue.
Yeah.
And then they cook it.
These nuns just like fucking.
Now, Andy, IMDb says this was recorded in Italian.
Okay.
I don't know.
But it is weird because like the mouths matched up so well.
They did. And some of it was probably recorded in English too. It's so hard to say.
There was the guy who said, or no, I think this is a different guy. Oh no, it was the guy who was being such an asshole about the locals, about how stupid and ignorant they are. His head comes up with an anchor, like they're pulling the anchor up.
First kill, right?
Yeah, and his head comes up with it. That was fun.
I did like that.
Then the lady got mauled to death by her cats, and they plucked her eyeball out. That was fun.
I love.
And then they threw some dummies on some spikes.
Threw dummies on spikes.
Those were fun.
Then a guy is the butcher.
I love this death.
Is attacked by meat.
He's bludgeoned.
He gets beat with meat.
He gets meat.
He does.
And I was thinking of like who's that Russian comedian like
Yakov Smirnoff.
Yakov. It was like in Italy, meat beats you.
It was.
They tenderize his ass.
You think he's being stabbed or something? Like maybe there's a hook in the meat and it's stabbed.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, he's just getting hit with sides of beef and porks.
But they were being animated to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he gets a hook. He gets a hook in the neck.
And a hammer to the tongue.
And then hammer to the tongue. And then gets frozen.
Yeah.
I felt bad for this guy. Yeah, these nuns were doing a little too much.
Yeah. And his poor wife was looking for him, but wouldn't open the freezer to check.
Well, I understand why she was so distraught because of that big old tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Like
fruit by the foot.
But remember that scene in The Simpsons where somebody's being beat and that kid's like, "Stop, he's already dead." Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking during the scene because they just killed him in so many ways.
So he gets frozen to death and he's in the freezer. But see, his wife is looking for him and she calls the cops because she can't find him anywhere and she's freaked out because he's missing, right? But nobody thought to check the fucking freezer in the shop that she's standing in.
The cops did immediately.
After Andy the detective gets
one
there.
cop did. They were interviewing her for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one rogue cop goes and sneaks into the freezer.
Yeah.
Like he was on some mission or something.
Yeah.
And then closes
the
the door.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like he looked
immediately.
He's the first one.
He took 2 seconds to look in there. It's the door off of the room where the wife is freaking about where is my husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's some shit right there, movie. I saw you in that moment.
It's one of many things wrong with this movie. A laundry list of things wrong.
Oh, and I also liked how the nuns knew modern technology. They knew how to turn down the temperature.
They can turn
even
down for what?
Even though they were born in like 1400s, they still utilize modern technology.
Learn when you're dead.
On things.
You still can learn. Why do they always pick like weird old lady voices for kids in these movies? He's like, "Mom, I just got," and it's like clearly a 50-year-old woman's voice. Anyway, I guess whatever.
People got to work.
Well, it's very common to cast female roles as children, like remember Peter Pan and stuff.
I know. Okay, so Andy, do you know what happened at the end? What was the yellow stuff? What happened to Liza? Why did she fade away and then fade back in?
Well, she was kind of being possessed by the nuns. And then at one point, I think she gets fully possessed and taken over.
Yeah.
But the spell breaks when the villagers burn the crucified remains of the nuns.
Okay.
And then she gets yeeted back into this mortal coil.
She did get yeeted back onto Earth in our time frame. No longer dead.
Because I think like she was kind of going back in time, her like spirit, whatever, to when the nuns were and going through their crucifixion. Like it's very not well defined, this storyline, so it's hard to figure out exactly what happened.
Like, what are these nuns? Who were and where were they? What were they worshiping?
They were just some
straight up Satan.
Yeah, not Satan. I think they were just
the Riddler,
orgiastic and doing their own thing. And
let's talk about the orgy, which was just one couple.
Yeah,
no, it was 2 couples.
Oh, were they in the same room?
But they were like, yeah, they were just in separate beds.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's not what I think of as an orgy.
I thought it was one.
No,
couple.
me neither. I was underwhelmed.
The
orgy.
The nun goes to perform oral sex on him. I don't know why I had to say it so clinically.
It's so funny because, like, have you guys heard about the Hawk Tuah girl?
The what?
It's this viral thing going around right now. There's like this street interviewer who's asking some girls about sex, and she was like, this one girl was like, "You gotta get up on it," talking about dick, and she's like, "You gotta," and then she like mimes like jerking off a dick.
Ma'am, I don't.
And
know.
then like she's known as she's known as Hawk Tuah. They spell it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So these are recent celebs.
Yeah, I dub these as the Hawk Tuah nuns.
But you don't want to hang out with these because they will stab you in the throat while they're doing it. And so that's bad. I don't know.
Well, at least he died doing what he loved.
Right, receiving a blowjob.
Yeah. So
if
good
we
for him.
all could die getting head, that would be great. Let's talk about the guitar player from this group of archaeologists. At night, they like to hang out around the fire and drink and sing along to some dude playing guitar. But I'm going to tell you, he plays the same riff over and over and over and over and it just never stops for like 10 minutes of the movie.
Like a lot of the scenes just go on for a long time.
Way too long.
Especially the night scenes with the archaeologists having fun by the fire.
Way too long, Andy. Oh shit! I had a point to say about it, and it left me. I was going to continue our conversation about this, and I
just want to take a moment and thank Andy for keeping me current on Hawktois.
Hawktois. Are you looking it up right now?
I just looked it up, and the first thing that came up, the headline says, "Was the Hawktois girl fired?"
Oh, come on. She should be allowed to talk about sex and still keep her job. What is wrong with people? Unless
I think it's a
she works for
rumor.
some sort of church. Then that was her stupid dumb choice.
Yeah, look her up, and she's a fun time gal. I like her.
Ladies, be more like toi girl. Be less like the woman the Margarita song is about.
Yeah, but don't kill your lovers afterwards like these nuns.
No, don't stab anybody in the neck. Unless it's with love.
Well, that was another like ill-defined thing. What the nuns like?
What are they after?
Their end game was.
Were they just Satan's brides? They were just doing Satan shit, so that just meant killing everybody. Freddy.
Yes, ma'am.
Stop looking up Hawktois girl and talk to us.
I was just looking I think all the rumors are that she was like a preschool teacher and stuff.
So?
But no, none of it's real.
Oh, okay, good.
That's my point. They did the same thing to her they did to those poor nuns.
But these nuns were actually evil, though.
They were evil, though, honey.
Doesn't matter. Still awful what they did to them.
I think it's justified what they did to them.
I think if they had just let them keep making the babies and cooking the babies, then just left them alone.
I bet that baby smelled good. They kept talking about somewhere called was the town they were in Santa Rosaria?
Yeah.
Because they kept saying Santa Rosaria, and I kept saying I don't practice Santa Rosaria.
I remember being shocked.
Got no crystal ball.
How beachy it was.
Italy's Sicily's an island.
Well, here's what I didn't know about Sicily until we watched this movie.
Picture this.
Anything. All
Sicily,
I knew was from
1488.
Sophia. And I even said to Amy, I said, when she said picture it's Sicily,
La Cosa Nostra.
when we would watch Golden Girls, Sophia
Tomatoes, olive oil, all that shit.
Yeah. Well, you know what I was trying to say.
A bunch of Italians hanging out.
I pictured a city.
Freddie just couldn't handle it.
Having
having his worldview challenged.
All these Greek ruins and the beach. I was just like, this is too much. Turn it off.
It's too much, I
don't like it at all.
I did write down here, Sherrod Brown spends Ohioans' money on illegal immigrants. Febreze will help with that gaming teenager smell. What? Do you know what commercial I'm talking about, Andy? Do you get it? And then they're like, it can help in your toilet when you blow it up in there, and your kitchen smells, and your gaming teenager smells. And I'm like, what are those smells?
I don't like the wife that lurks outside the toilet when a guy's having a shit and forces him to use the air freshener at the end.
That is really weird.
There's something unhealthy about that relationship.
She's a little too controlling.
Yeah, that's maybe too much, man.
It's too controlling, and one, like...
Unless he has a known issue with really...
It'd have to be real bad.
Stanking it up in there.
Nah, she takes too much glee.
What if she's like, Bryce, I have told you 1,000 times.
I feel like she holds it over his head and like always brings it up.
Yeah.
Stinky shit, Bryce.
Yeah, it's a toxic relationship on both ends.
They haven't had sex since their last fight about it.
Yeah.
She's not a Hawktois girl.
No Hawktois for this guy.
She's
no way.
Yeah, she gives very languid blowjobs.
Languid is Andy's new word.
She's a pooch.
Lazy is I think what you meant.
Yeah. Well, languid and lazy, they're synonyms.
Sure. Not really. Languid is just you do it languidly. I mean, duh.
I don't
Freddy,
even
look up the definition
I
of
was
languid.
just about to say,
I know what it means. Sometimes I struggle with words, and I'm struggling with words a lot lately.
To me, it just means slowly, but I don't
it does.
know if that's true.
Yeah, to me, like just kind of slowly and lazily, maybe. I guess you could say you could do it.
Languid. Of a person, manner, or gesture displaying or having a disinclination for physical exertion or effort. So basically, what we're doing.
Yes. The way I live my life. I live my life languidly.
They turn with languid movements.
I want to live deliciously and languidly.
A lot of lazy butter. That's your life.
Yeah.
I'm churning and burning.
They use the example of someone turning over while sunbathing.
Yeah. But I like you brought up a little bit earlier about that guy being literally ripped in half.
Yeah.
I like that scene a lot. And his son is the cause. No, he didn't. His son set off the booby trap.
Yeah, he told him not to. He's like, son, stay back.
Fucking did it.
You know something's bad when your dad's legs are splayed out like that, and your dad's like, "Don't come any closer." Fucking dumbass.
But I was just wondering how this kid got covered in blood though, because they're looking for this kid, and he shows up later in the archaeology.
Oh, he's drenched in it.
Center, and he's literally drenched in blood.
Yeah.
But when the guy got ripped in half, it was very dry.
And he was nowhere near him, like either. Yeah. Is the thing. He would have had to gone up and rolled around in it.
Yeah, did he roll around his split father?
Well, he loved his dad so much.
You probably try to put him back together.
Oh, that's awful. Do you think it just geysered out of his dad?
No, because
we saw that happen.
We saw it happen.
It was dry.
You're right.
Little but no blood squirted out of him.
It was a very dry splitting down the gusset.
Like I feel like if the
man Terrifier did it best.
Yeah, if the splitting of the man didn't kill him, then the lack of blood eventually would have gotten him.
The splitting of the man.
He was screwed as a person.
Bone Tomahawk, I think, did it best. If you're looking at human splitting scenes.
No, you made me watch the Bone Tomahawk. Bone Tomahawk and Terrifier are like neck and neck for me.
But who did it first? This movie.
This movie did. Deal with that.
They're the originators of splitting in half. I'm sure it happened before, but
I like when monsters do it.
It's the first time. It's the earliest I've seen it happen.
Like when a giant monster pulls somebody up by one leg and then they get their other arm out and they grab the other leg and the giant monster just tears them in half. That's my favorite next to Bone Tomahawk.
Okay.
That's a solid 2.
I hope it's solid.
No giant monster involved.
You know you said that's a solid 2.
Yeah, I did. That's a poop joke.
Okay.
Oh no, that's been painful.
Demonia. Anything else about it? It happened.
No,
it was.
Yeah, we talked.
Andy liked it.
I liked it.
I disliked it, and that's
I'm glad
okay.
you did, Andy. That makes me happy.
Somebody should appreciate the work that went into it, and I do, sort of. But it is the last movie of our Andy Get Your Nun theme. So
yeah,
July,
I feel like it's a good mix of movies. Like
oh yeah.
I thought we were going to be the same, like everything was going to be the same, but they were very, very different from each other.
Ooh, we did a great job programming.
Let's run it down again from the top.
Immaculate.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
The Devils.
Devils was great.
Hexen.
Hexen was a blast to watch.
Demonia. You got to have one.
Well, for me, it was 4 for 4.
You 4 for 4 did.
I love it. All right, Amy, you going to pick
Okay, now we're going to pick our next theme. I'm picking from the hat. There are all kinds of fun puns in here, or things waiting for a pun.
It is a
literal hat
with a literal little piece of paper in it.
We got from
Very
some beer
old-fashioned.
brand for free.
What are we doing?
Oh, that is a note I wrote about my boss. On the other side, it says abracadaver.
All right.
So, Andy, what's the intention behind this one?
Movies with magicians, not witchcraft, but magicians.
Ooh, I'm into it.
Nice.
Like David Blayne types, or like pull a rabbit out of a hat types,
like David Copperfield in that one movie with the train.
Yeah.
Do we know what we're going to start with?
I think we should start with Lord of Illusions.
Done and done. I haven't
movie.
seen that in a million years.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I want to revisit it because I remember saying it was, my memory was bad, but I think I should give it another chance.
I like it a lot.
Well, good. Glad to hear it, Freddy.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's magic.
You know. Except that's Ozempic. Now they've ruined it.
Can't get it now though.
You can't.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Freddy's been having a hard time with his diabetes medication. It's rude. All right. Anyway, at the end of every show, we always say hi to our Beelzebubs. Today is no exception. Patreon.com/NOTLP. Matt, Branan, and Emily. Jeffel. Iona Goodwin.
I want a great one.
Thank you.
I was just waiting
you have
to see
do the joke.
I was looking for Andy, and there's a slight delay.
No, I was mid sip of water.
He's sipping.
Because Andy is hurtling around the moon right
Andy
now.
is hydrating. Dr. Brian, Old Dirty Billsterd, Bill Fahrner, Blayne Yogurt, Jordache Jeans, Monica, Jeremy, Cassie, Gamora,
Woof, woof, woof.
Ernie, and Dave. Thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you so much for everybody listening. Thank you so much for my co-host.
Yeah. And shout out to all the nuns out there.
Yeah. Keep it real, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.